So today we're going to take a look at Cloud9 versus DRX here on Icebox because DRX put in one of the maps of the tournament and absolutely stomped C9 here on Icebox. And let's find out how they did it. And it really all started with round number 3. And really C9 never recovered from this round. And actually this round is going to start pretty well for C9. So they start off with the early things that they were doing towards B there with the Harbor Wall. They are playing Harbor Viper here, DRX, and this little jet smoke here. Just a big denial of vision for these players down on B, but then they just quickly sprint back towards A. They send out the Sova drone just here. This is the bonus round for DRX, so you can see they've got Spectres mostly and one Bulldog there. So, not the best guns here for DRX either. They start to come in towards this A site and they try and just kind of walk their way up. But you're going to see that C9, they start off great in this round, right? They're going to manage to get the first couple kills here, and it looks like, yep, we're going to be in an absolutely fine situation. As you see DRX, slowly try and just kind of walk up and see what's going on. Zeltis manages to get the first kill just there, and I'm not sure if Stacks fully realizes what's going on here, if this is getting broken or not. I can't tell, maybe the audio isn't as clear to him. Obviously, from our perspective, it looks kind of stupid because, can't you tell that the bullets are coming at your wall? Maybe you didn't, right? Maybe you just can't hear it or whatever with all the extra noise going on and whatnot. So we end up in this 5v3, and as I said, C9, they're just in a great spot here, right? You think like, oh, they're definitely going to win this round. They should be pretty good, and even, continues to get good. We do get, a couple 1-for-1s here as we get one kill there, and Mako manages to get one, but then gets traded out as well, and we end up in its 3v1, right? 42 seconds left. It's 2-0, and we are getting in this 3v1, and Ye is coming on the flank here. You got the two C9 players pretty much right next to each other, and Leaf and Vanity here as well. Arby manages to avoid them, and he's going to play the time. And if you're in a 1v3, generally you do want to play the time, try and find a kill, before you actually plant the spike. You don't really want to be, planting here, because there is still a chance you can win this round. So that's what RB does, right? He's hoping to try and isolate Ye here, and he does actually see Ye. Thing is, Ye sees him here, and Ye retreats, right? He doesn't try and take this fight, which is good from Ye, but he's about to do the exact opposite in a second and make a pretty big mistake. Because the time obviously is getting low, and so Ye is just now trying to keep RB in, right? Keep him tethered to this A site, essentially not let him out. The time starts running down, so he's just jiggle picking that angle. All is well, all is good, and RB now is going to plant. And this is a situation where normally on this channel, we're watching these pro games, they have some really nice coordinated X-eggs or whatever, right? And it's like, you're never going to do that in your ranked game, right? And it's not really relatable to how you might play the game. However, what is about to happen, you can make this choice in your ranked game. This will happen often to you in a ranked game, where Ye is back here, right? And they know where he is, obviously. He's planting the spike, so he, has to be somewhere on site. Most likely in this default position just here. And so they pretty much know where he is. And Ye is going to have a decision. And probably the correct decision in a 3v1. And remember that, RB has seen Ye, so he's probably going to be somewhat conscious that there could be someone behind anyway. The right decision here for Ye is to probably just wait and just go group up with his teammates and just play together, because how do you lose a 1v3? You give the player 3 1v1 fights, right? And that's exactly what's going to happen here for C9. And as I said, they never really recovered from this round. And normally Ye is pretty good at not doing this, but maybe because, they didn't maybe have the best map before, they're 2-0 down, they're a bit antsy maybe getting, wanting to get on the board or whatnot. You're going to see that Ye is going to come in behind. And as I said, in your ranked games, you will be where Ye is. And, all you got to do is tell your teammates, just wait for me, right? Let the spike go down. That's fine. But you see, completely isolated 1v1 fight. Our teammates, are nowhere near us. There's no trade coming in. It looks like they are kind of waiting. But this is just a 1v1, right? And it's good from RB, but Ye, this is a fight that you should never really take, even if you are favored to win it. So RB gets the kill. He then actually gets Killjoy locked down and puts it down, putting a bit of time pressure on these C9 players. This is a situation where, it's not the best lockdown in the world because you can't really defend it. But again, we end up in this scenario here where this wall drops, and maybe it drops in a bit of a bad spot here for Vanity because he gets seen, and then again Vanity here, right? You saw him there just start to run this way, but then nope, I want this fight, give me this 1v1, and guess what happens? He loses a 1v1, and now so Leaf is now in a terrible position where now Leaf's just in a 1v1 from a 1v3, and RB just picks a timing to swing here, finds that timing pretty well, manages to kill Leaf, and DRX win a 1v3. And so if you do ever find yourself in this scenario in your ranked games, which I think you will, fairly often, the spike is getting planted, you're on a flank, your teammates are both, back here, just go and play with your team. right? Just go back, run back to your team, play a 3v1 as a 3v1, and not 3 1v1s. And now let's come to round number 5. And DRX are actually going to go for a bit of an interesting strat in this one. They're going to start off with their same B stuff that they were doing. You know, they got this cascade here. You got the wall just here. And this B stuff was quite effective, particularly early on. A C9 seemed like, you know, they didn't really know how to deal with the harbor. What's just happened is Ye has come up here. And he did have Leaf here supporting from back here. But obviously Leaf can't see anything. Right, and so DRX, they start to drone in, and Ye's just up here on his own, so now he has to leave as well, because Leaf isn't giving him any support, right, and so he's just, you know, being spotted by a drone, and so he has to leave as well, and so they get this B main control pretty early, and they did this, you know, pretty well, as you see, like Leaf, they just have to retreat there, right, so they get the B main control nice and early, but now they actually come towards mid as well, and they're gonna send Buzz in here on Jet on a bit of a suicidal mission and just kind of like, you know, hope he can cause enough of a distraction and do well enough for the rest of the team to, you know, find the space off of that. But, you know, he doesn't have a lot of support here, Buzz, to be honest. They send in another Harbor Cascade there. That one's going to go deeper towards yellow. And again, just threaten that they're coming up. And in goes Buzz, right? He's just dashed in across here in mid, and in he comes. And he's actually going to manage to find that first kill on Leaf, but then gets traded out. But this is absolutely fine, because he's created the necessary distraction, you know, where Mako is now a threat in kitchen. You've got another player through here as well. You know, you've got this B main control, so you're pressuring down here. You know, we're looking at an effective B split here, and Mako's going to find this timing to where, you know, Vanity is now worried about the rest of people, you know, coming underneath, and so Mako just swings on him, finds Vanity just there, and we end up in this 4v3, and then this is beautiful, right, because Zeppa obviously got the kill on Buzz, so they know, you know, roughly there's someone around here, right? They start pressuring, and Mako sends in that. He gets nano swarmed. He's getting absolutely destroyed. Has to run away, and RB finds the kill. Just, I mean, the timing and the util usage there from DRX is so good. And now we end up in this 4v2. Now, before I was saying like, oh, you know, and I generally do say, you know, you've got to play super safe here in these 4v2s and whatnot. Not all 4v2s or, you know, 3v1s, 5v3s are born equal, right? Because there's going to be some situations kind of like this one where, you know, they don't know where these last two players are for C9. I mean, Ye's just shot some bullets, so they know that one player's here, but they have no idea where the other player is, I don't think, just yet. And, you know, Mako is in a position here, you know, where he has come up kitchen. Like, there isn't really a super safe place he can come, right? You might argue that the safest way for him to go back is actually come back, but that would have run straight in to Zelsis. So there really isn't a safe position for him to get to, and the same is somewhat true for RB as well, where, you know, they're kind of just stuck where they are. And so, you know, I can kind of forgive this a bit because there really isn't like an easy position for them to really just go to, right? Particularly if they don't have the information of where Zelsis is and where he's playing. They know where Ye is, but, you know, Zelsis really could be anywhere. And Zelsis is just about to win this fight against Mako just here as he's holding it. So he does beat Mako in that fight, and now he has res. They even, you know where RB is now as well, so they're going to find the kill on RB as Ye swings on him. We end up in a 3v2 all of a sudden. It's like, oh my god, DRX, you know, we're going to throw this round. This is going to be the best Harbor ult I think I've ever seen. Just because of the situation, right? It's nothing special in terms of like where it's located, but just in terms of the situation, right? It's a 3v2, but the time is running low. They need to get on this spike. But now that, you know, they don't fully know where these DRX players are, you know, obviously they have an idea that they're generally back there. We get a great dart coming out from Zest there as well. A really good dart that basically gets them that kill. It reveals Zelsis as well so that they know he's right on the spike. He puts up the wall. You see that this Harbor ult is forcing Vanity to like move away from it. Zelsis gets stunned by the Harbor ult, and they manage to get the kills. And so they got a really big Harbor ult there, DRX. Kind of the perfect time for it. You know, when there's a lot of time pressure on, you're having to move, you know, in between the stuns. That's not great. And it really worked for DRX as they had this nice little round. And now let's come to round number 8. And this round was over at this point, before the barriers. And only because there's some very specific circumstances going on. But DRX, they're going to decide to just come to B. All 5 of them there, they're just going to come to B. That's their plan. And you got Zelsis here, and he's just alone here on this B site. So, you know, when they come forward, he obviously is going to have to retreat because he's on his own, right? And that's not necessarily a problem by C9. The problem is that DRX also have 3 very powerful ultimates. And so this is always going to be a pretty tough round for DRX to win. But you're going to see that from their ultimates, they find a ton of value. And Cloud9, they're going to use one of their powerful ults here, the Killjoy Lockdown, but it's going to find no value, right? And so just from this kind of looking at the map alone, unless Zelsis just went absolutely god mode, this round was pretty much not going to be one that C9 were going to win pretty easily, making the decisions that they did, right? This was really only going to go one way, and you'll see what I mean. So they start to come into this B site. It's all pretty normal. In come DRX. They dash across. They clear back yellow. And now we get the Killjoy lockdown coming out from C9, right? So they've come and put their Killjoy lockdown just in here. The problem is the DRX have a Sovereign, right? And so they're going to Sovereign down here. And the problem for C9 now is that this Sovereign is not only going to destroy this Killjoy lockdown, but it's also going to make it difficult for these players to get past, right, whilst this Sovereign is going off, which means the spike is going to go uncontested. If you wanted to go for, some kind of really fast retake, it's going to be a lot harder because there's an enemy Sovereign, coming right at you, stopping you from being able to cross. So, they get a really good value out of their Sovereign ult, and C9 basically get, no value out of theirs. I guess they do trade an ult for an ult, but, the fact that it's also stopping people from getting kind of across here, this Sovereign ult, makes it difficult. And now you got Viper Spit and an attacking lockdown as well for DRX, and yeah, sure, this was always going to be a tough round for C9 to win, but, as I said, before the barriers, considering the ults that they had available, and considering, how they were lined up on the map, DRX were pretty much always going to win this round, unless they had some sort of miracle where they spam maybe Mako, but even then there's the Killjoy lockdown, so you see Zelsis dies, everyone else has to retreat, I think because there's, really you should probably save here, to be honest. They give it kind of a little go here, C9, they try their best efforts, but, what do you do, right? You can see they're already kind of backing out, they already kind of know this is not going to work, and so yeah, they end up just saving there, and yeah, this for DRX was just another round where, their round plan was very, very solid, right? It was just a solid round plan. And yeah, you've got 3 ults, but it was a crucial gun round in the game. C9 had won that last round, so this reset their economy again. And it just, it was just not going well, really, for C9. And then the final nail in the coffin came in round number 12. Again, just showing, I think, some of C9's problems with adapting maybe to the game that they were in. This round again starts off really, really well for them. Ye just goes up and decides, I'm Ye, I'll go and get the first 2 kills, don't worry about it. We end up in a 5v3, and actually they start off this round, they get the first couple of kills, and they play it smart here, right? Eventually, after the drone comes in and whatnot from DRX, they're going to play it safe, they're going to just play for a 5v3 retake, right? They're going to avoid a harbor ult here, minimize its value, make sure that none of them die on their own on the site. And yeah, it's good from C9. Up to this point in the round, they're doing absolutely fine. They just come off site, all 3 of them, they play together. Hey, we'll play 5v3 retake as a team. No issues, right? Obviously, the harbor ult, this is one advantage of the harbor ult, is none of the things are going off, right? So they know that they've got a free site here, DRX. But now let's talk about C9's lack of adaptation in this game, because here's the thing. DRX, when they came to this A site, they planted up high a lot. Pretty much every time they, came here as a team, they would plant up here. That was their kind of goal. That was their plan. And the thing is, C9 are doing this wall across here. And for those of you who don't know, there's kind of 2 main Viper walls. There's this one here, and there's obviously the one that comes across 410 here and across the top of this box. And the wall that C9 are doing, there's nothing like inherently wrong with the wall. It just didn't suit the game that they were in, because this wall, the wall that they're doing, the idea is that if the spike is planted here or here, anyone playing like behind the little generator here, this little generator, can't peek out here when this Viper wall is up and actually see the spike, right? So that's the kind of basic idea of this wall, is that it, stops anyone from playing back here actually being able to kind of see what's going on when the Viper wall is up. The thing is, though, as I mentioned, DRX are always planting high. Pretty much every single round. And this is round 12. So they've seen this already 3 or 4 times. And actually, they've died to people spamming from back, deeper in, on the A site, back there. They died to that multiple times. And again, that exact same thing is going to happen. And this is round 12. And so, yeah, we just didn't really adapt to this. We probably should have been doing the higher wall as soon as we noticed, hey, they're planting high a lot here. Because you see, yeah, this wall, it starts to get them onto the site. They tap the spike. They're in a 3v5. Mako's about to find a little, fade away there on Leaf. But the thing is, they're going to res Leaf, right? And this is another thing that DRX, I just will quickly mention, like, they were even walling themselves off, right? Because they're going to get into the higher positions. They're going to stop you from pushing them, right? With their own harbor wall. So they were doing this the whole time. And this ends up being like a 3v6 because they get the res off as well. And still DRX are going to win. And they're going to win because, again, they're going to be able to see who's defusing the spike, right? So they stop you from being able to push them. They even put the cove in there as well. But now Stacks, right, he's going to just turn there, and he can see who's defusing the spike, right? Because we've gone for the lower wall. And this happened multiple times to them. And this is round 12, and we just didn't change. And yeah, they end up winning just a horrendous last round here as DRX... yeah, we're just styling on him at this point. I'm sure the C9 mental at this point wasn't great, but, things like that, we've probably got to realize to play for the game that we're in, not the game that we want to be in.